these, they're going to put up a nice little aggressive edge. They're not too hard, but they'll put up a nice, the longer the teeth, so to speak, this one right here, the longer the teeth on that bottom, the more aggressive it is. So now we just sharpened this one.
I believe he both of them.
All right, there's no little burrs on that one. So we'll now, if you're at the house and you really want to see if there's no burrs, no chips in your blade, take a piece of 1/4 inch masking tape, 1/4 inch square, and then tape a cigarette paper to a thread, and then hang that thread. And what you want to try to do is slice all the way across that cigarette paper without tearing it. You will find out really quick what kind of edge you've got right there. Now again, I'm going to come in, lay my fingers and hand on that thing. Now y'all probably already know this tip, but when you're out in the woods, you use the bottom of your coffee cup or roll the window down on your car. If you use the car window, pull it backwards, don't cut into it. And both of those will pop an edge up real quick.
And on a coffee cup, do you use a circle motion, or do you do the same motion?
Always slice, whether I'm pulling backwards or slicing into it. I always go the whole stone. And I don't like pulling backwards unless I have to. That's the fastest way. Absolutely. If you're in, say you're in the woods or something, if you'll stand that sucker up there pretty steep and drag it backwards, it'll put a burr on there in a hurry. But it makes it more beefy on the bottom.
Obtuse.
That's
Ooh.
Which is why, you know, when we talk about obtuse kids, obtuse people, you know, they're thick, they're dull.
Now you got to test these things and test it on whatever you can, but it depends on that edge. We can grind this same knife where we shear a metal barrel in half, or we can grind it to where it will shave a baby, and it all depends on that edge. And it's the same steel. It's just how beefy you want to come up with. There is a knife maker whose name I shall not mention. What he does is he'll pull a knife out of the box and he'll drive it into a barrel with a hammer, and he'll cut a slot in there to no nicks or anything. And he says all my knives will do that. Well, then he'll put that knife in that box. Well, they'll do it, but just those have a different edge on them. Don't try that one with. And so he's kind of deceiving people. You got to kind of be careful with that. Now, one of the things that you can do out here in a little bit is we'll try to take a piece of this and cut all the way across that paper. I wouldn't recommend it here, and I put a disclaimer on this if you try it at home. But the other thing is at your house, drop that paper, and then when it's dropping, then cut it all the way across. But now you'll have to hit it directly on the edge. If it's a little damp, it's not going to cut well. If it's wrinkled, it won't cut well. But if it's a good sheet, you can drop it and just cut it in half real well right there. So hopefully we're going to hang ours and see if we can cut all the way across it. But that's a nasty little edge on that thing. If they make them too hard, those little teeth are short. If it's too soft, the teeth are longer. Now when I make one for field use that I'm going to say go bear hunting with, and I'm not going to have a stone with me, I'll make mine a little softer than what I would make for the public. The reason is I like that long teeth. I'm not going to shave a bear. I'm going to pull that hide off of me as quick as possible. It won't hold its edges long, but I understand that. But I'm more interested in teeth because I can get my work done faster. And but when we put this down on the stone, you'll notice on the back it took just a little bit. Now the BK5, the reason why it's got that pebble on the back, is this the time to do this?
sure.
Well, we can do it, or we can wait and do a. I'd like to do something a little bit more of a sit down side by side if we could.
Yeah. We'll just wait on that. But it'd be a nasty cutter though. But again, just do this nice and slow to begin with. And it's more of a slicer, and that's something else that we need to talk about, because you guys have different designs, and I'll show you where and why they can cut better and what they're designed to cut far and width. Because we'll just have to sit down and do that, because it's an interesting deal. What we call a sweet spot, it's correctly called the point of percussion, and where that point is determines, in a sense, what you're going to cut. Is it a slicer, or is it one that to break armor down or whatever. There's different ways to do that. Because of the kukri, its point of percussion is bent down. So we'll get into that. If it's really, really dry reading, but there's a book called The Book of the Sword by Sir Richard Burton. And he traveled all over the world at the time. And it's really interesting. They're like the first body armor is made from horse hooves, hung like shingles. And then he goes really in depth on the swords and the knives. And on the sword, he says in there that the angle must be 40 degrees or greater. And even then, care must be taken to ensure it does not chip on the thick head. And so they, this is when they used them all. And so he was writing book number 2 on Woots in Damascus when he died. And supposedly, Bruce Willis says he thinks he's found it, but I don't think so. And I'd love to see
Bruce
that.
is frequently pretty sure he's found a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah. We won't go there right now. But these different stones, the hard Arkansas, as far as my personal opinion, just go ahead and chunk it. Buy yourself a decent stone. But that's for when you're doing really, really fine teeth on that thing. And that, like I say, that's where you shave a baby or whatever you're wanting to do. That's really fine. I don't, personally, I don't care for it. I want the teeth on mine to let me cut.
What kind of